I have been thinking about making this video in kind of many iterations for a while now, and I think information is more important than getting it out perfect. The basic message is, how do you grow wealth? How do you become wealthy? It wasn't always clear in my life that I would become wealthy. That was always my goal. I always had that intention. But in my 20s, I didn't know that much. I worked really hard to try and become wealthy. Now that I'm in my 30s, it's definitely shown up. In my 20s, a lot of doubts, a lot of moments where I wasn't sure, but you put in the work, eventually you get there. This channel is about guiding you, depending on where you are in your life. I learned a lot through my lessons. If I can help any of you at all, that's my intention. I don't want to give you guys any BS. I want to just tell you, what I've done, share my experiences. Sure, there's many other ways to achieve these same things, but this is what worked for me. The topic today is just about how to become wealthy. Over the last 15 years, I've moved up my income. If you want to be wealthy, you have to do it in steps. There's always a temptation to skip steps to become wealthy. Everyone wants to get rich quick, but the reality is that's not how it happens. So what is a sustainable, high probability way of becoming wealthy, of becoming a millionaire, of becoming a 1%er or a 0.1%er or whatever your goal is? What I found, what works for me, what works for a vast majority of my friends is to go in steps. And the first one is to focus on your income. First, you have to go and make money. And if you're in a job that pays the minimum wage, I feel for you. I know it's a tough position to be in. You got to do what you got to do to make ends meet, but you can't stay there forever. You need to get your income up to the level where you can pay your bills, put some money aside, and put aside enough money to invest. And honestly, in some cases, take some risk. The best thing to do is to get a college education, go down a career path where you know you're going to make money. How do you know you're going to make money? Pick a boring job or pick a job where there's good data on it. A doctor, a lawyer, engineer, product manager, working for a tech company. Any of these tried and true methods of building income are a godsend. There's so much of an infrastructure built out for them to find you and for you to find them. And it's so easy to look at, the amount of money that these types of professionals are making. As long as you can get on that career path and tracked, you can make the kind of money that you need to get to the next step. So the first step is to build your income. You can do that from one job, you can do that from two jobs, you can do that from as many jobs or side hustles or whatever that you want. If you're not at 100,000 yet, you need to level up, go online, build your skills until you're there. The next 100,000 or 50,000 that you need to make on top of that to get to 200,000. If you're in a career track where they pay well, that's possible. Maybe you just got to do 5 years at the firm, you'll get that. If you're even luckier, you could do 2 or 3 years, or maybe even right out of college. It really depends on your career track, okay? If you're in a profession where it's not as likely or you can't get to that within just a couple of years doing that same job, then you got to do a side hustle. You got to look at doing something else, picking up another skill, learn new skills. So let's just say programming, build some websites for people, find some clients, do some IT work, get your income to 150,000, 200,000. Now you're making real money. Your expenses, you got to keep them low. So don't go out and buy a Ferrari. Don't go out and buy BMW or Mercedes or $1 million house right now. Save up enough money, keep your expenses low. Now with this money that you have, you can go ahead and learn how to invest that. It's hard for me to say not to worry about investing, but your focus should be on building your income. It's going to be really difficult to invest that money to something substantial, at least in a short term where you're really going to enjoy it and it's going to impact your life. Sure, at the end of your life, after 30 or 40 years, that might be enough. You can retire with something, but let's be honest, right? We want to live well for the time that we're here. Getting by on minimum or subsistence living, especially with inflation and everything, is not the goal, right? Let's keep your risk low. Look at real estate, look at stock market, run some experiments. If your income is not high enough, focusing on investing right now may be premature, right? Save. Don't spend money on stupid stuff. Hoard your cash and then learn how to invest it into wise investments slowly. Spend time, effort to work at this to figure out what is really good for you. Avoid the temptation of quick money. Crypto is a great asset class. It's really exciting stuff, but don't throw all your money in there, if you can't afford to lose it, right? Investing and learning how to manage your money, I would say, is equally as hard, if not harder than your income. Right now in my life, that's what I'm working on. I'm focusing on how to invest it. Markets have been so crazy. Things are crashing, things are up and down, interest rates are insane. We went through one of the biggest objectively bubbles in modern history with all the SPACs, the valuations of companies. Now this investing here is not necessarily at this point to 10x our wealth. If you're doing house flipping, definitely you can grow your income. You can 10x if you can scale it. If you're doing passive investments with S&P, you're talking about a time game, right? So be realistic about your investments. Don't think, you make $500,000 or $200,000 cash from your job, you save that up, you're going to put it in investments and you're going to be set for life. No, you got to keep both of these wheels spinning. You got to build your income wheel, keep it spinning. Then once you have money, you got to figure out how to deploy it. You got to go ahead and figure out the investment wheel, get it spinning, and keep them both spinning. You have your income sorted, you have your savings sorted, you have your investments that are going to hugely subsidize your living expenses, if not, provide for your retirement. Then I think you can start looking at riskier endeavors. And now you can talk about what is it that you really care about in life? How do you want to spend your time? What contribution do you want to make to society? I'm an entrepreneur. That's what I do. I believe that I have the best shot of doing that once I've taken care of my income, my investments, my family. And now I can just focus on the pure work of creating something that is impactful. So here I would put scaling your businesses. At least for me, I want to get to a certain place where I have a solid foundation where I can really take those big swings. That's it for me. I think, if you never get there with Tesla, with Facebook, with your $1 billion idea, at least you have enough to provide for a family and a great life. There's more to life than just chasing a number. So I graduated UC Berkeley, went into a startup right away. I have always been ambitious. I was doing a lot of things, learning about programming, building web apps, doing startups, graphic design. I mean, I've done so much stuff in my past. If I had done things in order, things might have been a little bit easier. I have a certain confidence that I can achieve and do great things. But I started these companies with unrealistic expectations. I thought that I had a great shot of becoming a millionaire overnight, building the next Facebook immediately. I don't regret taking those shots. I think that it's important to do so, but this is my story. This is what happened to me. I took those shots. I spent 5 years at my first startup, another 2 or 3 at, startups after that. And I built a lot of stuff, some things that I was personally very proud of, but the market doesn't care. I had to shut down that first company. The other companies that we did, we had some varying success, but they never got me to the point that I wanted to be. I put everything on the line. I worked night and day. I sacrificed my health. I sacrificed my sleep. I sacrificed so much stuff. And at the end of the day, honestly, I probably made less money in those years than not probably. I know I made less money in those years than if I had just gone and worked at Google or Apple or Facebook and just gotten a normal job. I would have had less stress, would have been happier. I spent a lot of years going on that road of trying to build something great immediately, expecting that I would find success immediately and putting everything else off. And I found that my life was not very balanced. I missed out on so many things that mid-20-year-old something should have experienced on. At the end of the day, I made less money than I would have just going down that normal path. So that's one of the dangers. When you're in the VC world, when you're in the Silicon Valley world, you only hear about the success stories. And those are repeated over and over and over again. And Silicon Valley is a small place. Chances are, if you're building a startup, you're around people that are in that space, within 1 connections or 2 connections, you're going to find someone that raised tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, and had a $1 billion company. Maybe they exited. So it's possible, but the probability is still against you. And it's hard to say that I regret all of that. But I do think that there was an easier way, if you're talking about the financial outcome, to have achieved and made even more money than going out of order. I mean, yeah, I can write some badass code, okay? I can build some impressive stuff, but beyond that, there's a lot more that goes into business. You kind of jump headfirst into something, very quickly you're overwhelmed. More dangerous than that, you kind of ignore the market and you just go headfirst into this thing that you think, you're going to create your own market, you're going to create your own product, you're going to create all of these things, and it just might not happen on the first try. People that have done it, I would say luck, some amazing amount of intelligence, a great team contributed a lot to that. But statistically, it's not probable that you'll succeed on your first shot, especially if you're a 20-year-old something and you haven't seen a lot of the world and you don't have that business experience yet. So the first thing is you go and build your $1 billion business right away and you fall short and you're left with nothing. Then what do? Well, you wasted some time. It's harder to get to the point where you're actually having dollars in your bank account. Not saying don't do it, but don't feel pressured to do it. Unless you think that you can really beat the odds, unless you're sure that that's what you want to do, when you graduate college, it's probably a better bet to go get some work experience. Level up your resume, level up your income, actually save money, get through steps 1 and 2, and then go ahead and look at billion-dollar business when you have a lot more resources and experience behind you. I'll go into it more in the future. Can't say I regret all of it, but god dang, man, it was a lot of work for not a lot of results. What's the next big pitfall? You don't have the income and you're trying to invest your way to being wealthy. What does that mean? Well, instead of trying to make 10% or 5% on 3% on $100,000, $500,000 or $1 million, right? Trying to make sensible decisions that yield realistic profits. You're taking $10,000 or $30,000 and you're trying to make 10,000% returns, 1,000% returns. You want to 10x the money you have in your bank account by making 1 bet or 2 bets, right? And what happens? You lose all your money. Not to say that you can't do it or that it doesn't work, but you're putting yourself in a position where your expectations are unrealistic, right? So you fall victim to these scams and pumps and dumps and all of these things. It took you a couple years to save up that money. You threw it all on, Bitcoin at the wrong time because you don't know about market cycles yet. You don't know about how Bitcoin works in the, economy. And then it crashes and you lose your life savings, right? That's a really bad place to be too. Sure, it's a learning thing. I'm certainly guilty of doing silly things like that before in my past. Luckily, I've recovered from them. It's never been too bad, but just don't do it. If you have your income first, right, and you're happy with your income and you're growing that, you don't need to put it all on black, right, to try and make up for your lack of income. Doing things in order really helps. You can take a portion of your income, throw it in Bitcoin at whatever point in the market cycle, hold it for 10 years because you don't need that money, and then enjoy the fruits of your investment. So get your income, then worry about investments. Don't recommend flip-flopping them. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe below. Let me know, what other topics you'd like to hear about. Go get it.